Welcome back to another Shooters Roll. What's up, guys? If you don't know who we are, we're a bunch of guys, fans that love to talk about NBA. That's all we do. We play it, we live it, we breathe it, we wear shoes, we wear styling. We've got RJ, he's the expert. But today you got myself and D-Swizzle. What's up, D-Swizzle?
What's up, brother? Happy New Year. It's good to be back. I checked out the last episode of the Shooters Roll. Thanks for the shout out to moi and the winning Knicks, but we'll get onto the Knicks a little bit later. So I'm all dressed up in my Knicks gear. But I did take notice there was some pot shots thrown at my boy Seth Curry. Hello, come on, give the man some credit. Like, not all of us can pull up from the logo and hit 3-pointers, mate. Come on, I heard what you said last week.
We'll get into it, sir. We'll get into it. So today I'm breaking down what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss the Blazers for the Blazer fans, the Knicks, because D-Swizzle is the biggest Knicks fan in the world. See his gear. We're going to talk about Denver, Wizards, the 76ers, and then a couple of intriguing players because D-Swizzle wasn't there last week. So he's going to make up time and he's going to get into us with some of his knowledge. So let's kick it off, D-Swizzle. First thing is first, let's talk about the Blazers. The loss today. They went 1-on-1 with the Golden State Warriors. Kick us off, D-Swizzle. We haven't heard you in a while. The fans are been asking for you. The boys are, have no one to rag on, no one to pick on. So I'm glad you're back. The two bullies aren't around, but you got me. So I'll basically try to keep the mentor and bully you as much as possible. Let's get D-Swizzle. Blazers.
All right. It's a shame that the bullies aren't around because I'll tell them how to tell them. It's a new year, and but the Blazers aren't looking like it's a new year. It looks like the old year. I mean, they've got a new team, yes, but it's still very guard heavy. Their two leaders are still not sharing the ball. They're 3-3. This loss today to the Warriors. It wasn't great, 137 to 122. I mean, who leaks 137 points to the Warriors? I mean, Steph blew up, 62 points. But they've got to do better defensively. They haven't looked in sync, which is surprising because they've got big acquisitions, role acquisitions, in my view, in Robert Covington and Derrick Jones, who are lengthy.
Aeroplane mode.
They're lean, defensive specialists, but they just look like they're just filling the numbers up on the court. And it's a shame at this point. What I'm thinking is, I watched the game against the Warriors, and there were plenty of opportunities for Dame to give up the rock or CJ to give up the rock. And they're pulling up for three. I understand that they're top dogs of the team and there's a place for that. But when you're neglecting teammates who are open, who can knock down the three, and RoCo in particular has form being that 3-point specialist on the team. I mean,
shout out to RoCo. Did you watch the game today where he had a wide open dunk and he traveled? He picked up the ball. Started dribbling again. Maybe because he never gets the ball. So
I mean, he just looks lost out there, and it's a real shame because they're 6 games into the season. You've got to give them a grace period to iron out the kinks, but they're still not getting the ball, and that's not going to help them in the long run, in my view.
Because when you had RoCo, Dex, when you had RoCo in Houston,
yes,
you had ball dominant, Harden, but when you got the ball, you're gonna shoot three. Like, he still shared the ball, like he didn't just keep the ball to himself.
Correct.
And when he passed it, he wants you to shoot it.
Correct.
But I guess in this offense, when I watched it today, you're definitely right. It seems like these acquisitions, the two guys that you're talking about, RoCo and airplane mode, they're just there to play defense. That's how Dame and CJ think they are, and it's a bit sad. Hopefully they can figure it out. But that's definitely I agree with you there.
and their primary job should be to play defense on the best players on the team, and they do it, and they do it well because they can guard 1 to 5, both of them,
Yep.
quite capably, especially Covington, and but they're just a bit lost on the offensive end. The Blazers look one-dimensional. It looks very ISO driven, and hopefully it'll change because I really do think, like Charles Barkley, that they've got a shot at winning it. They just need to put it together, and I think there has to be an element of trust from Dame and CJ to give up the rock, like Harden did in Houston. But that's my take on the Blazers. They're still getting huge numbers off CJ and Dame, but we've seen in past years that hasn't been enough. It's a new year, 2021. Let's see something different from the Blazers. That's my hope for them. Yeah.
No, yeah. My take, just to add on to your part, is the Blazers can score definitely, but they can't stop anyone. So even in today's game, you feel that in both games that they played against in Golden State, you feel that they had an opportunity to always come back. Even though you're down by 20, you can get on a run and come back. Like the game is never won with the Blazers. I never feel safe if I was a Blazers fan. So yeah. All right, enough of the Blazers. Let's move on to your beloved Knicks.
Hey, 3-3.
I had the baton over to you. Hey, we've seen it in the past with teams, right? That they start all right. The good thing about it is we only got 72 games, not 82. So 3-3 is a very good start. So T-Swizzle,
look,
Knicks information.
Let's just embrace this moment at the moment because they're coming 7th in the East. That's a playoff spot if the season ended today, but it doesn't.
Yep.
Statistically, though, they're still shit. They're ranking last in points per game, 13th in rebounds, which is better, but 20th in assists. So they're still got a lot of tweaking and working things out. But the East is so wide open that you've got to string some games together. Make sure you win at home. I know home court advantage isn't such a big deal under the current state of play with the pandemic, but you've got to make the most of the opportunities at home. But look, what's encouraging though, as a Knicks fan, is that they beat 2 East contenders. They smashed Milwaukee, which you guys touched on last podcast, 130 to 110, and just this week they beat the contenders, Indiana, 106-102, and that was a gritty win. I thought they came up big in that game, and I think that'll put them in good stead. You have to win the games that you're supposed to win, and I think that's where they're still falling apart. Is they're not winning the games that they're supposed to win, but if they win enough of those games and pull out upsets like they did against Milwaukee and Indiana, I think they'll be in good stead to make it into the playoffs. They're led by Julius Randle in points, rebounds, and assists. He's doing a LeBron James, 21.2 points, 10.5 rebounds, 7.2 assists. Not bad for a power forward / center. I mean, that's pretty good. He's leading the way. And Tibbs likes his vets, and I think Tibbs will hold down the rotation quite tight and run his vets until they can run no more. But props to the Knicks.
Hey, what's the rotation? I haven't watched many Knicks games, but is he playing a set rotation, 8 players, 10 players, or?
It's still pretty tight in my view. He's letting RJ get away with a lot. Statistically, RJ Barrett is not shooting the ball well. He's come up with some awful shooting numbers in terms of attempts, makes to attempts. I think there's still a lot of teething going on with RJ and how best to.
Has he got a green light?
Yeah, he's got a green light though. He's got a green light, and I think that's where it comes into play is when you give your stars the green light, and he'll shoot through it. And hopefully this season he can learn from how to control the game a little bit more, because you want to see some development this year for RJ. hey, Mitchell Roberts played a good game today. So, in his last game against the Pacers. So, you want to see some development out of those two foundational players, because who knows where Randle's going to go after his contract's up. And they've got bit pieces. I noticed they got activated Austin Rivers, and I think that'll help with the outside shooting. So, good for them. Good for them. Even record, not a losing record so far.
Yep, that's a win in my book. So I noticed that you put in air quotes, star. is that saying that they're not real stars? They're not the best of the Knicks? Is that what you're saying?
I'll be real about it. They're not stars, mate. Yeah, like they're not household names, especially here in Australia. No one's heard of Julius Randle unless you're a baller, or even for a fact of the matter, RJ Barrett, even though he was a top draft pick. They're not.
Unless you're Canadian or like the NBA.
Well, yes. So in terms of stars, yes, they play in the best arena in the world, mecca of basketball. That is the Madison Square Garden. So, they make it. They make it. If you could make it there, you could make it anywhere, baby.
Bit of a quote there, Jay-Z. Jay-Z in the house. Shout out Jay-Z. Enough about those Knicks. I'm excited for you. Knowing that you're a big fan of the Knicks. So yeah, hopefully they can keep on it. Yep, and they keep on it and hopefully form the top 10 and make the playoffs for sure. It's been too long. It's been too long. So let's move on to the next team. I wanted to talk about I guess the Denver Nuggets, right? So they won today. Record 2-4. I guess coming out from last season, I thought they'll start a bit stronger. A bit disappointed. A couple of close wins. The win against the Kings beat them with the tip in from Buddy. Really close game. I just don't feel that they're improved from last season. So it's a bit of concern there. I know you're a big Joker fan. So yeah, let's get into it. I think the subtraction of I guess Jerami Grant, which we'll get onto, is a big drop. They decided to go with was it Michael Williams, the third year guy. So they decided to go with him, being a big three with Murray and Joker. So I guess it's early in the season, but at the moment it's not reaping the rewards in terms of defense and rebounding, which couple of areas where they're lacking. So over to you, D-Swizzle. Your thoughts of Joker, the Denver's starting this season?
Look, better for Joker. He's traditionally a slow starter, but he's killing it at the start of this season. I'll put up the numbers for you. He's averaging a triple-double. He's getting 23 points a game, 11.2 rebounds per game, 13 assists per game, and 1.4 steals per game. His turnovers are pretty high, but this is a center who's taking 13 shots a game and shooting at 60%, whilst giving 13 assists a game. Like he's traditionally a slow starter. He usually picks up after the mid-year break, but he's been on fire to begin the season. Shame about the losses, because the shortened season, like you said, the close losses really do start to pinch come the pointy end, especially when it comes down to head-to-heads and seedings and the like. But the Joker's doing his part. Murray started off very slow. I would have thought that he would have capitalized from his play in the bubble, but he's coming along. He had a big game today. And look, Murray will get it together, but that Jerami Grant loss, and good for Jerami Grant for signing the big contract with Detroit. They got to feel it because it was really Murray, Jokic, Jerami Grant, and also Michael Porter Jr., who really were carrying this team in the bubble. And with MPJ out for medical protocols, and the last couple of games, they haven't looked quite right either. They're missing quite a key piece there. But I do like his development. You do see that he is growing as a player, and he is a threat coming into games, and people have to plan against MPJ. But Jerami Grant, it's a shame that they lost him. Hey, he's playing well for Detroit. Good for him.
Yeah, he's playing well. Yeah, it was a good move for him to
Yeah.
take the money and then take the opportunity to become, I guess, what I see, one of the main guys in Detroit. Like, he has a green light.
If not the guy, right? I mean, sluggish preseason, first couple of games were bad, but he's really turned it on in his last few games. I mean, he's averaging 23 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 1.4 assists, and shooting 2.6 threes per game. That's really great numbers from the person that you're paying large sums of money to. So I'm really liking the spike in development there. How it will transpire to the rest of the team and the season, because the team don't look that great. Apart from his play, Blake has been a bit up and down. Yeah, he did get hurt recently, but you have to wonder about Detroit. I mean, Killian Hayes, their point guard rookie, he's been awful. That's what it is. He's been awful. But you know, it's still early days, and he's still developing as a player. You know, things in Detroit could be worse, but I'm liking Jerami Grant's play, and he's carried that confidence from the bubble over to the Motor City.
Yeah, as we discussed in Detroit, I was a bit confused, I guess, about their future and what they're trying to do, because you got Derrick Rose, I guess, older statesman, coming off the bench. Like, you can really trade him, get a draft pick. You know, if you're going young, usually a team will go young, and they'll get rid of all the vets and the stars, right? And then you still got Griffin, you know, Blake Griffin on the team. So, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be a playoff team, or are you trying to be like in the lottery? So I'm a bit confused when I watch him, you know, because there's definitely, like, Blake, I guess he's out for protocol because of the concussion, but he's their star, so he wants to get his stats. And then you got the youth movement. What are your thoughts of that? Like, do you see the future of Detroit being youth, or basically utilizing the stars and getting another star or something?
Well, I think they made a big call when they traded out Drummond and his 29 odd million that he's making this season. So I think that was a big play on the youth movement, and not paying a aging star big money. I mean, they brought in Miles Plumlee, who's effectively, he's not Drummond, but he's still effectively getting you Drummond, giving you a Drummond-esque game, you know, 10 something points, you know, 12 something rebounds. Obviously, Drummond's a better scorer offensively, better defender with his steals and blocks, but you're not paying Miles Plumlee 29 million to play the old style game.
Yeah.
You know? I did like the acquisition of Delon Wright into the team. Delon being reunited with Dwayne Casey there. I think that's going to do wonders for his development, but he's also, with Hayes, had a rocky start to the start of the season. I think there's a lot of improvement there for Delon Wright, and I think Delon Wright can be that consistent guard in the rotation as well. But as for Blake, I mean, you just got to be hopeful that his body holds up for a majority of the games, right? I mean, that's what you're hoping for there. They won't renew his contract. I think Blake knows the big paydays are well past him now. So, yeah, the future, it really is with Killian Hayes, and hopefully that draft pick proves to be a winner for Detroit.
Sure. All right, so we went deep into a couple of teams. Just to keep it light, D-Swizzle, can you give us an update on your fantasy teams and your sleepers picks? Just a 2-minute spiel before we get into the back end.
At the moment, I am fourth, but I'm in. This is in my family league. I'll just talk about my family league because that's where it's the most cutthroat and where the most trash talk occurs. So I'm fourth. I'm anticipating I'll get it into the positions after the today's play and the updating of the stats and rankings. Doing well in fantasy. Look, you guys touched on him last season. He's not in my family's in my team for my family's league, but Christian Wood, you guys Spoke about him last week. You did, T. He's a
I'm
great
very
player.
on him. Yeah, I like him, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the questions too. Why did Detroit let him go? I don't understand. Like, did you do something wrong?
Oh well, just that maybe they just don't have the vision to, play him, because he's obviously got talent and he's showing out in
AD,
Houston.
man. AD clone.
Yeah.
AD clone.
Yeah. What's surprising though is he could hit the 3 ball. He's got a really nice jump shot. Really nice. So very, very big on Christian Wood and his breakout season, because the way he keeps playing, he'll be a top big man in the West, and that's saying a lot because it is the Wild Wild West, and there's some key players and stars in the West. So big shout out to Christian Wood. Other surprises in the fantasy world. Look, there's been a few subpar slow performances. I've got, just quickly touching base again on Robert Covington. He's been very slow this season, hasn't picked up his stats. And also another one of my high draft picks, who I picked up in the 3rd round, John Collins for the Atlanta Hawks. Hey, Atlanta's winning.
Monster dunk against Brooklyn. Yeah.
But his numbers aren't what they were last season. But I'm hopeful for a resurgence. How much Clint Capella's introduction into that team has affected his numbers fantasy-wise, we'll just have to wait and see. But he's got more than enough talent to compensate Capella, who's a rim-running big who clogs up the middle. So, Collins got a more all-round game, and I'm hopeful that he can, again, bust out for a 30-point game like he did 2 games ago. So that's been just a quick take. Oh, how can I forget? Also on my team, just one last shout out on this fantasy topic. Terry Rozier has been so frustrating. I rode him when he shot 1 for 11 and benched him in the last game when he exploded for 7 3-pointers and 35 points. Terry, do a brother a favor, mate. Be consistent.
Ride and die with your players.
I know. I think sometimes we just think we're smarter than what we normally are. But Scary Terry, it's pretty scary when he can go 1 for 11 in one game and the very next game go 12 for 18. But I suppose that's scary.
Yeah, definitely. Hit 2 minutes on the mark. Okay, cool. Let's get back into the session and our schedule. So next team we want to talk about the Wizards. So the Wizards made a big splash. They traded John Wall for Westbrook. I think it was a downgrade because I think Wall position is a better point guard than Westbrook. He plays within the team more, and him and Build have chemistry from the last 7 years. So Westbrook coming in, Westbrook wants to do things his way, and it hasn't worked out as yet. Westbrook set out the last couple of games, so his durability comes into play again. So my thoughts is I don't really rate the Wizards. D-Swizzle, give us some numbers as you are, and break us down for us, please, sir.
Again, I disagree with you.
Hey, that's what we're all about. We have fans that love teams and hate teams. It all works.
Look, Wizards rough start, 0-5. Though the last 2 games they've really picked it up. I think with the Wiz, Westbrook is always going to be rested on one of a back-to-back set. So Beal will be eating all season, regardless of whether or not Westbrook is on the floor. But I like how the Nets have come into their own. Oh, sorry, not the Nets. The Wiz have come into their own, beating the Nets today in the clutch, winning today 123-122. Big games from Beal, Westbrook, 27 and 24 points respectively. But also, I'm really high on this guy, Thomas Bryant. has been having a really decent season, shooting the ball really, really well. Today, 21 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, and the clutch game winner. So good for Bryant. There is still some improvement, and this is why I like them. There's still improvement to be seen there because Bertans has not been playing well, and as soon as he gets his shot going, and as soon as the Wiz figure out their rotations and get their players more consistent looks and playing time, I think the better. They paid Bertans a mozza to stay. He's their 3-point shooting center in the clone of Brook Lopez. So he brings a unique skill set, but it is still a logjam there with Rui still taking up power forward minutes there at the nation's capital in DC. But look, I still like the Wiz.
Rui played really well against Brooklyn. Like he was going head to head with Durant, and he didn't miss a beat. I thought it would win the rookie of the year last year. So his development, as being a Japanese player, is awesome. So just shout out to Rui for that. I watched that game and I was excited for him to just go at Durant. Like you're going against a Hall of Famer and you're not missing a beat. So this is development for sure.
Yeah. So look, it is the East, and I think there's enough firepower there. They just need to hold it down defensively because they do leak points, but they certainly have the offensive firepower to outscore opponents. And hey, they knocked off an East favorite today in the Nets. So there is still a lot to like in my view of the Wiz season, and it's still early. They're a tenth of the way through the season, and I think the Wiz are going to get better.
Sure. All right, so moving on to our last topic. So listen up. Thank you for listening this far. So we'll get into the 76ers. So our homegrown superstar, probably our best player, our best export, Simmons. He plays for the 76ers. I like him, but I'll let you go first, D-Swizzle.
Let's break it down. They're a better team this year. They just look like a basketball team instead of people getting in the way of each other. Embiid knows what he's got to do. He's their scorer. He's the man dominating the middle. Simmons knows what he's doing. It's working. Like they're 5-1. Great acquisition with Seth Curry. I think that has really spaced the floor for them. And Seth's been playing very, very well in the last few games for them. Tobias is Mr. Consistent as well. So look, Philly is it surprising? I'm not that surprised, actually. I think Philly have always had a decent team. And it's all on them now. I mean, they can't really fire the coach anymore. So they're going to perform. Yep.
So Doc, I guess, Doc is one reason, and the second reason is they went out to get shooters, right?
Yeah.
And because you think about you roll back a couple of years when they had Jimmy and they had JJ, that was pretty much this team they're having now. But you actually got more specialists, 3-point shooters. So Simmons was quoted saying that doesn't care about scoring, doesn't care about shooting threes. Like it's not his mind anymore.
Yeah.
And Doc hasn't given him the pressure, because you think about last year where. His old coach was saying that he wants him to shoot 3-pointer every game, but then it played on his mind. Like you can see when he's playing out there, he's wide open, and he says, "Oh, should I shoot it?" Like watching a couple of the early games this season, I can just see him, he's just going to his power, and his power is going hard left, and then kicking out to the shooters because his team's got it. And then when the fourth quarter comes, it's Embiid. Like Embiid's getting the ball, and he's happy, right? So. Starts with him, post up. He's got the one-on-one, double team, kick it out, shooter. Kick it out, Simmons drives through, layup. So they worked out basketball. It's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple game if you let it be simple, right? They're just playing, and they're playing to their strengths. Embiid hasn't been on social media saying anything. Simmons is just playing. Doc isn't, he's basically not trending. He's not trending in the social media. He's not causing any issues. He was trending for Pandemic P, but that's another story. We mentioned that in the last one. So 76ers, I really like him. The last year and the year before, you always like, oh, if Simmons gets a jump shot, they can win. If Embiid does this, they can win. When you look at them now, they look like a complete basketball team. Everyone's playing well. Everyone's playing their part. And no one's overdoing anything. Like no one's doing more than they have to. So, but as every NBA team, it can change. Something might happen. The drama might happen. If you said something about me, we lost this game, I should have shot this. As we know, it can change in a blink of an eye. But I think we've docked there, making people accountable, and definitely being a voice that everyone's listening to because he's a championship coach. So, yeah. And then having one thing I want to talk about is there any drama in terms of the Harden, the Harden trade talks? Do you think that's playing on the 76ers minds?
I don't think it is. I think this is my view. I think they're set. I really do think that they've got the winning team. Here's my bold prediction. I missed last episode. 76ers will be my East champions this year. I just like how early on in the season they've got it together. Flying under the radar, like they're on top of the East. They're scoring 109.8 points a game, only letting in 101.8. So that's a differential of 8 points, which is only second best to the Bucks. And the Bucks have had a few blowout wins. So overall, they're getting it done on both the offensive end and the defensive end, and doing it without fuss or drama. So I do like the 76ers for the East. Whether or not they could take the consensus pick last podcast was that the Lakers would win the championship. Whether or not they can take the Clippers in the NBA Finals.
The other LA team.
Shout out to Reg for and her Sixers doing well.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I guess you missed last week. So did you have any players that you mentioned Jerami Grant? Did you have anyone else that was just surprised so far this year? And I guess your early pick for MVP.
Early pick for MVP. I can't go past. This is going to be so out, left field. I might get a few heckles, but the numbers prove me right, and I'm always right. So, JAYLEN BROWN, my goodness, the boy can ball. Like, he is a flat-out baller. Insane start to the season. He's en fuego. Like, honestly, who shoots at 56.9% from the field? Like, that's something ridiculous. And it's not like 1 game or 2 game, 3 game set sample, They've played 7 games and he's shooting 57% from the field. Admittedly, he could do better on the free throw line. Yes, because he's only getting 2/3 of his free throws in. But 27.5 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 2 steals and almost 1 block. That's a full stat line right there. And he's only committing 2.2 turnovers a game, which is, for someone who's got the ball in their hands so much, doing really, really well. Boston, I know they're only 4-3, but give or take, if they're in a winning position at the end of the year, I think, and JAYLEN BROWN's production keeps up, he'll be in discussion as your MVP.
But is he the best player on the team?
Currently, after a 7-game spread, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And your intriguing player of so far in the early season?
It's JAYLEN. Followed closely by, and I know he's only played 2 games, John Wall. He looks really good. Looks really, really quick. He looks like he's controlling the game, controlling the court. the 2 games he's played, both wins against Sacramento for the Rockets. He shot 46% from the field, 2 3-pointers a game, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 2 steals, 1.5 blocks. He does turn it over quite a bit, but that's, hey, it's John Wall, right? So, 5 turnovers a game. If you could dial that back to 3, I mean, then you've got an elite point guard. But it doesn't look like he's missed a beat.
Yeah,
there's so many injuries,
Yeah, definitely. Like the preseason games that he plays with the professional runs actually shown that they might be real. Like we see in the preseason or the pre-preseason that all these players bring out Instagram videos, and sometimes it doesn't translate to the court. But in John's Wall case, definitely. So I am a bit wary, I guess, of John Wall. Players come back from injury.
Yes.
They're playing so hard back to back, putting a lot of wear and tear on their body. Even with Kevin Durant, so it's fingers crossed and hope that they don't, any of these players don't get injured for sure.
He's intriguing because he has to share the floor with Harden, and both of them need the ball in their hands. I know this is another Harden and Westbrook storyline, but Wall is more of a pure point guard than Russell Westbrook is.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's willing to. I don't know if that sounds like, when I watch the games, it sounds like he's willing to be the second to Harden as long as he's there. So he's definitely playing the part of a proper traditional point guard, giving to Harden when he needs the ball, and creating when he needs to. He's fitting in. For sure. Okay, that's pretty much it with all the topics. I just wanted to bring up some drama on the interwebs that came out a couple of weeks ago or months ago now. Larson Pippen, Scottie Pippen's wife.
Yes.
A couple of weeks ago she was spotted with Malik Beasley. Larson Pippen's still officially married to Scottie Pippen for 19 years. They're going through a divorce.
Yeah.
She was spotted with Malik Beasley, he's also married and has a kid. They were spotted shopping because on IG, Malik Beasley wanted to take the Queen out, and they were spotted. They thought that probably they wouldn't be recognized. It actually, she's, I guess, in the older 40s. I guess I want to know your thoughts on this, because it affects Scottie Pippen's son. Like he's playing in college at the moment, and he tweeted out, I am myself. I can't control anyone. It sounded like he had a chat with his dad, and these are the things he's pushing towards. Shout out to his son. He's playing really well in college. Your thoughts on T-Swizzle? Just the drama of it. Larson Pippen, is she just looking for attention? Malik Beasley, I'm not sure what he's trying to do. Like if you looked at the photos, his wife or ex-wife is pretty much hotter in my eyes than Larson Pippen.
Isn't Beasley going to get suspended shortly for a DV issue? I really don't want to talk too much about, it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people. I just don't think it's newsworthy. That's my view.
That's cool.
Keep
That's
it.
Cool. Yeah.
To promote it on IG is another really spaz. It's not the smartest. Yeah. It's not. He must have had a brain snap there, but
sounds like it. Yeah. So my only issue is it seems like Larson Pippen just wants to be in the media. Be a mum. We can't judge anyone, but of course we're shit as well. We do our views. I just think that they focus on the son and their career, and to stay out of the media. So, just rounding up this podcast, T-Swizzle, did you have anything last thoughts, shout outs, anything you want to say before we cut this?
One hand in the air for the big city. That's it, baby. It's good to be back. It's good to be talking ball. The NBA is really in a good spot. I'm very impressed with the COVID protocols going on and making sure people who shouldn't be on the court are not on the court. So it is they're still playing through a pandemic, especially in the United States of America, where numbers are still quite very let's be fair, they're high, very high, and people are still being affected and dying from COVID virus. So shout out to the league for the measures being put in place, and players have got to take it seriously. Harden had to do a better job at the start of the season. I think there's no excuses. It's a real deal, and they just need to take a lesson from one of their own. Kat, who lost multiple family members, so it is quite serious. But on the brighter note, it's been interesting, and I'm loving the play of some of the teams, and I can't wait to watch some more basketball to keep on top of it all. Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely the league. We with us being, I guess, during our pretty much our third semi-lockdown, where we have to wear masks in Sydney at the moment. Having the NBA as an outlet is definitely appreciation to the NBA. So without it, we wouldn't have that distraction and what we have in this real world. So shout out to the NBA. That's it for this episode. T-Swizzle, say goodbye to the fans.
See you guys. Follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Insta, and on our YouTube platform as well. It's been great to catch up, and have a happy and safe 2021. I know it's going to be brighter for all of us.
Yeah, thanks to Swizzle for making the time for us. I know you're a busy man. Anytime you're on the channel, I guess it makes everyone happy. That smile, sir. So this is T. Shout out to everyone out there if you stayed on this long, and stay tuned for our next podcast next week. Laters.